Like to call the meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council to meet, order at 5:37. Machines open for roll call. Let the record show that all 9 council members are present. First, we're going to go to executive session. Can I have motion to?
I need
have a
to
motion?
read it first. 2A, executive session pursuant to LRS 42:17A10 to receive attorney-client privileged information with regard to borrow pits, Councilmember Konovich. And B, executive session pursuant to LRS 42:17A10 to receive attorney-client privileged information related to Keith Babin et al. Versus Plaquemines Parish Government, number 18-7378-WVBV-DMD, Section D3, for the Eastern District of Louisiana. Councilmember Konovich.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session. Is that second by Mr. LaFrance? Machines open. Let the record show we're going into executive session at 5:38. Want to call the meeting back to order at 5:57 with no binding action. Can we move to? Yes, ma'am.
9F, a resolution making certain findings with respect to and authorizing the Parish of Plaquemines, State of Louisiana, to incur debt and issue a revenue anticipation note in a principal amount not to exceed $8 million, approving the form of and authorizing the execution and delivery of the revenue anticipation note, authorizing the execution and delivery of other documents required in connection therewith, and authorizing the officers of said parish to do all things necessary in connection with the issuance, sale, and delivery of the revenue anticipation note. And Mr. Chairman, we do have changes on this item.
Yes, ma'am. Want me to offer first and then make the changes, or make the change? Huh? I'll offer with changes. Ask for a second. Second by Mr. Roussel.
Okay. The changes are in the preamble, which change, and throughout the document, the dollar amount is changing from $8 million to $6 million. That would be in the preamble on line 4, line 17, line 31. And then also that applies to the Exhibit A. The dollar amount will change from $8 million to $6 million. There are also other changes. On line 35, registered note dated, the date of delivery thereof to the initial, and changing the word purchaser to lender. On line 37, we're inserting at the end, after the word prepayment, we're inserting, provided, however, that the issuer shall give 5 days' notice, which shall be irrevocable, to the lender as defined herein to exercise such option of prepayment. On line 40, after the word issuer by the, we're inserting the word lender. It was originally purchaser. And then it'll read, in installments on an as-needed basis, we're inserting subject to the conditions contained within the term sheet as defined below. On line 47, we're removing the words municipal advisor and. On line 49, after the word note to thee, it'll be lender. On line 54, it'll read, the issuer hereby accepts the offer of, and we're inserting Regents Equipment Finance Corporation, New Orleans. And in parentheses, it said a purchaser will be lender. At the end of that line where we say for purchase of thee, we're removing the words first such. On line 60, It'll read, as a condition to the delivery of the note to thee, it'll be the word lender, comma, the lender. On line 63, after it says note until maturity, provided that thee, we're inserting the word lender. On line 65, it'll say that any such sale, transfer, or distribution by thee will replace the word with lender. And that is it for the resolution. On Exhibit A, line 102, the purchase price of this note shall be paid to the issuer by thee, and we'll change it to the word lender. And I think that is it. That's all the changes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Roussel?
Yes, I think we'll turn it over for a quick presentation.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, members. Jason Akers with Foley & Udell. Quickly to address the changes, those were necessary to incorporate the terms of the offer to purchase. With the assistance of the Finance Department, we spoke with a number of banks focusing on regions and Mississippi River Bank and asked them to provide an interest rate at which they'd be comfortable purchasing this revenue anticipation note. They each offered a rate. The rate from Regions Bank is a 1.45% net rate. And it contained a term sheet that is now attached as Exhibit B to the resolution. That term sheet actually requested that they be referred to as lender throughout instead of purchaser, therefore the bulk of those changes with respect to lender. And then in consultation with Tommy and Rochelle and their department, they prepared a cash flow analysis that was distributed to each of you, and it included, it estimated revenues and expenses for the remainder of this fiscal year. And those revenues and expenses showed a cumulative deficit of approximately $4.5 million. Forgive me for not being exact, but it's $4,500,000 and something. We added on a little bit just to ensure that in case there was any sort of natural disaster or other weather-related event, you would have money available if needed to pay overtime or other emergency expenditures. And therefore, we increased from that $4.5 million to $6 million. That amount is less than the $8 million that was originally before this council a few months ago. This has been approved by the State Bond Commission, and with your approval today, we'll begin the closing process with Regions. The money will be available as needed. And what I mean by that is it wouldn't be available just to be drawn and used on any project. It's only for operating expenses and only to the extent that the parish will otherwise realize a deficit within its primary general accounts. At that point, the money would be drawn down and would be used for paying operating expenses. You would only begin to accrue interest on the money as it is actually drawn down. Cumulatively, if the entire amount is drawn, your interest cost is going to be less than $40,000 on this entire transaction. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and certainly want to yield to either Tommy or administration if there's any other comments to be made.
Thank you, Mr. Akers.
Thank you.
Roussel?
Yes, Mr. President, you would like to address this in any way?
Come on. Thank you. Mr. Roussel, I think you and all the council members know the position that we're in. No one likes to borrow money. No one likes to be in the position they're in, but it is what it is. So asking your guys to approve this so we can make it through the end of the year. And we'll have to readjust that budget season and see if there's any more opportunities that we can maybe save more money. So again, it's not a position. It's an uncomfortable position to be in. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but it's reality. So that's where we are.
Thank you.
Well, I have.
Ms. Newberry?
Yeah, is this, we don't need this right now. I know this is a possibility if we need it. Do we have a desperate need for it right now as we speak? Because you just kind of said that it's there as we need it. Do we need it right now? Or is it a possibility we may need it?
I would really defer to Mr. Surpass. It is a safety net if needed. If not needed, sure, we won't touch it. But maybe he can give us a financial outlook. I would defer to him.
Yeah, thank you, Rochelle. If you could just clarify to the public.
According to the projected cash flow statement that was passed out to y'all, it would be September. Would be around, we think we will run out of cash.
Thank you.
Ms. Newberry?
I yield.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is not unusual. We've seen this happen before with the police department.
Name
I'm
and
sorry?
address. State your name and address.
I'm sorry. Donald Valet, 109 Nancy Court, Jesuit Bend. This is just a cash management tool they're doing. I can tell you, they're only going to, Ms. Newberry, they're only going to utilize this line of credit if the need arises, and that's been historically with the other agencies that do this, so it's a no-brainer for all practical purposes.
How y'all doing?
Name and address. Name and address.
This is Robert Forche, 116 New Street, Belle, Chasse, Louisiana. All right, so this money's not needed, and it won't be needed until September. And I understand that we're not going to pay anything. We're not going to have any interest growing until we borrow it. Will they have to come to the council to draw anything off of this money, which we should make sure that they do? Number two, we've had a serious amount of money spent in the past recent weekend that I think could have been saved. I think we need to do our due diligence and cut the non-essential spending that we are doing in this parish before we start asking the people to pay off a loan. And granted, we got to keep this parish going, but I think that there are things that can be done and should be done before we start borrowing money and paying a loan. Now, this is perfectly, as my cohort over here has said, this is perfectly normal. Yes, it's perfectly normal for broke public entities. And we're spending money like we're not broke. So I suggest that we take a hard look at our purse strings and start tightening some of those. I appreciate it. I yield.
Thank you. And I don't think they have to come to us to spend it.
Unfortunately.
Off the hand of Belle Chasse, it told me it's another cash flow problem, huh? Oh, I just would like Mr. Udell, Mr. Foley Udell, tell the people how much the fee they charging the people of Plaquemines. What's your fee? Y'all charging a fee?
Yes.
You answered it already? Did you answer it already?
Respond to the council, sir.
Hey, look, well, somebody on the council should ask him how much his fee is for this. I mean, hey, this is a public deal here. What's so bad about that? Whoa, man, I wish somebody on the council asked him what his fee is. Yeah.
What's the estimate?
Hey. Hey, the public paying them.
So, forgive me, council members, for respecting the decorum and responding to you. I'll be happy to tell you that our fee on this will be under $20,000, which is significantly below the Attorney General's fee schedule for a deal of this size. We, on the other hand, want to stress that at 1.45%, which is a rate that we've addressed for you, the total cost to you for borrowing and going through the entire process is going to be less than 1% of the total amount borrowed. And I think that that is another significant justification for moving forward to secure this cash flow borrowing and ensure the stability of the parish going forward. So happy to answer any other questions that you have.
Thank you. Any other questions? Machine's open. And it passes 8-0. Let the record show Mr. Black left.
Kevin,
Yes, sir.
I know we have people in the audience waiting on item 782. Can we move to that, please?
782, Ms. Morcott.
(7A2) Gillen Engineering LLC, application number 2021-282, dated March 26, 2021, Drill 6 boring for the Glen Oaks development, 4 multifamily structures, intersection of Russell Drive and LA Highway 23, Belle Chase. Councilmember, it should be Councilmember Roussel, not Newberry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll offer for purposes of discussion only and ask for a second.
Second.
Somebody seconded.
Yes, Mr. Alborough.
Yes, what this is soil borings for a development that has gotten the public's attention, and we have people in the audience that want to make some comments. There is a public hearing in Baton Rouge on this subject matter on June the 29th. And so because of the public inquiries that I have, I'm going to inform everyone that I'm going to defer this item today after we take the public testimony till after the June 29th meeting in Baton Rouge to see what the comments there are. So this will be taken up probably in the first meeting of July back in Belle Chase again, because the next meeting will be in Point LaHash, and it'll be the day or so before the public hearing in Baton Rouge. So I want to give the public ample opportunity to make their comments known and not rush anything through. So this will be deferred after we take public comment today till the first meeting in July. With that, Mr. Konovich, I
Mr.
yield.
Bartholomew? You have?
No, we're going to have discussion from the people in the audience.
He had queued in, but.
Okay.
Donald Valley. Mr. Rousseau, could we hear from the developer so we know what's being proposed before the public makes its comments, so they know what we're talking about?
Well, Mr. Konovich wishes to move in that direction, whoever.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, we can.
is the developer here?
Anyone representing the development of Glen Oaks development?
That's surprising. Anyway, I guess you want to hear from what they already know.
My name is Gerald Lands. I live at 127 Gondrella Drive, Belle Chase. I gave y'all all a copy of the petition back there that I did in 2 days, and now my foot is hurting me. But there are more signatures on Facebook on the Belle Chase Business Group and on the Plaquemine Parish Hot Topics, which I haven't learned how to draw them off the computer yet. So I'm hoping to get a lot more before the 29th. There are people in the neighborhood here, but they don't want to really talk, I don't think. So I'm going to be talking for them. More of them would come, but they're either working, or they got children, or they out of town. Many of y'all know about this plan, about the multi-housing, 44 units, for multifamily housing, 44 units in the neighborhood. A lot of people in our neighborhood didn't even know about this. I talked about this last time I was here, and I know it's legal to put this in the paper without the address, or without putting a sign in the neighborhood. Or I understand they had some signs on Belle Chase Highway, 3 of them for about 3 days. But don't you think this is a little sneaky? I hear they put, well, is this zone for multifamily housing? Or does anybody know?
It's my understanding it's a commercial zoning piece of property.
All right, now this is going to be a high-density housing between 2 junkyards, and not far away, there's an operating well that could present some problems. Is this going to be 1, 2, 3 bedroom apartments? How many bathrooms? Is the rent restricted? And if so, who's paying for this? What are the price of the apartments? Nobody knows. Parking spots, how many? They have 44 units. So you got to figure it's going to be 100 plus people in those apartments. Are they going to have transportation? Are we going to have to supply buses for these people? Will the apartment blend in with the neighborhood in the back? Is there a feasibility study going on for this? Or did this pop out of the blue? And if there is, can you get a copy of it? They're going to be children in the units. How many are in the workforce? Nobody knows. Is there going to be a specific income level for these people? Nobody knows. How many units are for the elderly and the veterans? I kind of wonder about if it's really for the veterans, but I don't know that for sure. Who's going to oversee it? The map that I got here has that the people that you got to mail to for about this are in Covington, Louisiana. Not even close here. They got one entrance and exit on a major highway. They got a bunch of traffic now coming in and out of that base and going down the road. People that are coming out of that apartment complex going to have to make a U-turn if they want to go up, and there's going to be nothing but congestion. And we already got enough of congestion here. The drainage back there, I don't even know if they took this under consideration. When it rains, the street floods. And when the street floods, the sewer backs up through the culverts. And when they drain the water out eventually, the sewer is still coming up. Now, I don't know how they're going to do this with the drainage, because I've been living over there 20-something years, 25 years or so, and they have never fixed it. And with 100 people more plus, it's going to get worse. A lot worse. And last week I was here at the meeting, and I heard y'all say that there's no money to fix this. So, what you going to do? The water at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, the pressure drops. You can't hardly take a shower, it's so low. And the reason for this is that they send the water to the chemical plant, not far away. And I know this because I called the water department and asked them. And that's the answer they gave me. And they said there's nothing they can do about it. So again, with 100 plus more people back there, what do you think going to happen? And then y'all said today, with the train tracks and all, it's going to be a different world, Belle Chasse. It's going to be worse. It's going to be a strain on our school system. Buses, they're going to need more buses. A strain on the police, I'm sure. How many other low-income, multi-family housing are in Plaquemine Parish? Most are in Jefferson and New Orleans. Plaquemines is mainly homeowners and single dwelling people. People are here for the quality of life. quiet neighborhoods, good school,
Excuse
no crime.
excuse me.
Yes,
Can you end it? Your time's up.
my time is up.
Sir.
I thought we had unlimited time.
No, sir. 5 minutes.
Everybody else talked for a long time.
I'll give him my 5.
Well,
Let me,
I'll cut it short. Better use this. The parish has better use for money than this. I'm asking y'all to vote against this, or if you can't, like he said, you're going to put it off. But people, when you get right down to it, the people in the neighborhood and in the parish don't want this. Basically, that's what it is. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Can only come up once. He could come introduce himself.
You got any more people you want to speak, Jerry?
No, anybody else wants to talk? Yep.
Good evening, Councilman and council persons. My name is Frank Hayes, and I'm at 110 Gondrella Drive. I agree with Jerry 100%. We definitely have an issue right now with our sewage, with our water. And when you go ahead and if you approve this complex coming in, all it's going to do is going to intensify what we have, and it's going to, and the quality of life that we do have in that area, which is great, will definitely go downhill. Getting in and out of the area right now, it's already hard. But if you put this in with about 100 more cars coming in there, you better put a red light and everything else, because we'll never get in and out of that area. There's quite a few people in there now. But again, I recommend that you do not vote for this. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brad Swayze, 2415 Quail Drive in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
yes, let me preface this by I've invited Mr. Swayze here today through John Schroeder's efforts and to explain a little bit about the project and the funding.
Yeah, and I'm not in control of that, but I apologize. I would assume that the developer would have shown and gone through this with you. Yeah, at the Housing Corporation, we originally funded a project, I think, in, correct me if my speaking is off, but Braithwaite, I can't. Braithwaite. And then it wasn't zoned, or the zoning didn't happen, and so they've moved it. In the way that we work and the way that our funding works is if it's not zoned properly, they have to meet zoning, they have to meet local permits, they have to meet all the local codes. If all that's in place, then our money is there. That's how it works. And there's also a thing that we call an environmental clearance. And Mr. Valet showed me the project and I looked at it, and there's a thing that we call the 360 test, and you do a 360, basically you turn around in a circle, and if you see I'm sorry, I'm fighting a cold. Since I took my mask off, it's like I have my allergies are really bothering me. But the 360 rule is basically when you turn a circle, and if you see a railroad track, if you see a junkyard, or if you see certain things, then you basically can tell you that the environmental is going to be a hard time passing. And so when he showed it to me, this project, this development right now, is where it stands, does not have environmental clearance. That's the process it's going through. So, but if it does receive the environmental clearance, if that happens and it's zoned properly, and it receives the proper permitting, then the federal dollars will be there for that.
Mr. Harbaugh?
Yeah, I'm just concerned, what's the need? I mean, from my understanding, Patricia Management, who runs the housing on the base, is struggling to get any occupancy, so why would we add another facility so close to the naval base?
Well, I don't determine the need. What we do is there is a market when developers apply for housing credits and bonds, there is a market study done. So there was a market study done when it was going to be in the other location. At this point, I'm not sure if they've redone the market study or if because it's still in the phase of being relocated. But it would have to, I mean, these have investors, and investors aren't going to invest in something that's not going to give them a rate of return.
Anyone else? Ms. Newberry?
Point on. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it?
Anyone else?
Hey, you know, Arthur Henry Belchase. I lived in Belchase all my life. There were people around me. But look, at this housing and this for Section 8, nothing is wrong with that. People got to start, hey, everybody got to live somewhere. Everybody got to live somewhere. We got to stop this, man. We got to stop this. Let's start inviting people, not throw people away. Everybody is human, man. Everybody is human. This Section 8 deal, I think it'll be a great deal for Belchase. It's about time. It's about time.
Thank you, Mr. Henry.
Mr. Chairman, I only did an introduction, so I'm going to finish. For you all's information, I served in the Louisiana Housing Board with Brad people. Brad's been the chief operating officer for quite some time. This came before our board, and I'm no longer on the board, by the way. This came before our board originally for Braithwaite. It was intended to be 11 fourplexes, built 17 feet in the air, with elevators and generators at a cost of $341,000 a unit. I will tell you, I was opposed to it. I think it was misuse of federal monies, taxpayers' monies, to put people, subject them to floodplain areas and elevate them 17 feet in the air. Obviously, you all decided that, and the neighbors around there opposed it. This thing's been floating around for some time. There was $5 million of CBD funds allocated for Plaquemine Parish that was left over from Katrina. No one applied to use it in any form or fashion. Then all of a sudden, some developers found out the money was still laying there. This is 15, 16 years later. That money was then allocated to this, and this was the only proposition that was presented to the Housing Board. And it was, I will tell you, 9-1, 10-1, every time this thing came up for vote. I asked all the critical questions. I was the only one opposed to it. By law, you're going to have to allow any development in an area if it's zoned and it fits the criteria. However, what you've heard today is a concentration in specific areas with lack of utilities, et cetera. I'm really surprised the developer didn't come here to explain this to you and at least make an attempt for you all to understand what he wants to do for the parish. The parish, without question, has a need, Reverend, for affordable housing. It's not a question. Just so you all know, for public clarification, I'm chairman of the Section 8 Landlords Association in Orleans Parish. I own a lot of Section 8 properties. I've been dealing with HUD for 30 years. I can tell you the rules in and out of this. In our group, we have 7,580 landlords that participate in Section 8 programs in just the Orleans Parish. Orleans Parish services 18,000 vouchers, and approximately, we've been quoted, we serve about a third of the population of Orleans Parish that are in rental units in Section 8. It's a form of collecting revenue. There's no difference between Section 8 or any other landlord, any other tenant, rather. It's just a form of who pays. It goes back to management. Brad will tell you, if you ever talk to him, if they take in and they have what they call a F&V, feasibility and viability test. They have market studies. They test the qualifications of a developer, that they have the needs to make certain that this is going to be managed on an ongoing basis for a long term. Management's the key of all these things. Such a small complex as this doesn't lend itself to having on-site management. And those questions need to be answered. How are you going to take care of the people? They asked all the questions that will be asked. And I've talked to Todd Epley earlier. It hadn't really come before the parish per se, other than a request for a permit to test pile, to test the soil if the things are conditioned. There's no plot plans, there's no usage, there's no ingress, there's no sewage, and no amenities. No one really knows what's going to be built there or contemplated to be built there. Frankly, when the original plan was proposed in Braithwaite, the cost was like $14 or $15 million to build 44 units. $341,000 a unit. Now, these would be built on the ground, so far less cost is going to be involved in there. We haven't gotten the environmental aspect of it. The parish should be far better off providing to its citizens what we have found in Section 8. Everybody wants a single-family home. Mr. Bartholomew, you and I have said this for years. All y'all, Colton, Victor, you need single-family homes. What could you do with a single-family house for $340,000? You could probably build 3 houses scattered throughout the parish without increasing and affecting one area and blend people into the community like they should be blended in. We're talking about affirmative action. It's the law of the land. You got to live with it. You all haven't faced that yet, but it's going to come, Rev. It's coming. 1 minute. I'll try to be as quick as I can. You all need to look at the overall parish and planning what you're going to allow to be built in the parish, where it's going to be built, and how you're going to service it. And I can tell you, listen to you all talk for the last 2 years. Kirk, you don't have any money. So what are you going to do? I mean, you're sitting there on Woodland Highway already. Start with houses that you build in there and no infrastructure to support the thing. There's going to be problems. I'm going to ask you, you haven't heard from the developer, and in all fairness, you really need to hear from the developer what they're proposing for the parish and who they're going to serve to be fair. So this thing needs to be deferred for some quite time. You really need the guy to appear before you all, lay out his game plan, and he really needs to go back to LHC because they're going to have to relook at everything they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roussel?
Yes, I would ask the President's office to inquire about the possibility of this money being reprogrammed for single-family affordable housing. And if the legal department can look into that, write a letter or something to the Housing Authority, that would go a long way to trying to address this issue. So at this time, I'll defer this item until, like I said, the first meeting in July. And I encourage anyone who has an interest in this to attend the meeting in Baton Rouge on June the 29th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bartholomew?
If I'm not mistaken, I think what is the Housing Authority program is part of the Plaquemine Parish through legislation about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, that was introduced. And it was voted on, it was passed, and it went through Community Action Agency. It just haven't been enacted. But I think the legislative is there, the law is there, that was passed, that it act as the Housing Authority for Plaquemines. That's all I want to add.
Thank you. Ms. Malcott, can we go to 11A2?
A resolution authorizing the parish president or his designee to execute any and all documents necessary and proper to apply to the Louisiana Community Development Block Grant Program to secure needed funds for the financing of required water projects and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Bartholomew.
Mr. Bartholomew offers.
This is for suspension.
Yes. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Bartholomew? Is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Roussel. Voting on suspending the rules. Colton seconded. Let it show passes 8-0. Now we vote.
Number 2, a resolution authorizing the parish president or his designee to execute any and all documents necessary and proper to apply to the Louisiana Community Development Block Grant Program to secure needed funds for the financing of required water projects and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Bartholomew, you offer. Mr. Bartholomew offers. Mr. LaFrance second. Is there any questions from the council, administration? Audience, machine's open. Passes 8-0. Ms. Marcotte, can we go to 9F and K?
I'm sorry, which?
9, K and L.
9K. We have a fill in the blanks on this one as well. An ordinance to amend the 2021 general fund operating expenditure budget, maintenance, Dave Ant Percy Griffin Center Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
You offer, Mr. Bartholomew? Mr. Bartholomew, you offer. Is there a second? Second by Mr. LaFrance. Can you add the changes, Ms. Morcott?
Okay, on line 11, we're inserting the dollar amount of $125,000 from the unreserved undesignated fund. And on line 19, inserting the dollar amount of $125,000.
Any question from the council? Mr. Roussel?
What does that leave our unreserved undesignated fund balance as of this?
I think it was 700 before that. Huh? You got a microphone? No, I got a microphone. So before this is what they have. Before this legislation is 700,000. A little bit, 7 what?
575 left. We're running low.
Undesignated has 623, 922.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not 620, 622.
23,
623, 926.
And this is for air conditioning unit?
This is replacing the unit at the Dave Ann Community Center. Mr. Epley has the estimates.
Ms. Newberry? Any other questions from the council?
West Bank voting for East Bank.
Audience? Machine's open. As the record show, passes 8-0.
Order it.
9L. An ordinance, he told me 9L. Okay. 9L, an ordinance to amend the 2021 manpower structure and operating expenditure budget, general fund, flood control, general department, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Bartholomew offers. There a second? Is there a second? I'll second. Mr. Bartholomew?
Scott Russo. Yes, this is to cover the new Magnolia pumping station that's coming online. We have 17 pump operators. We have 23 pumps. So this will add one more pump. It's a 3-pump station. It's brand new. And it should be coming online somewhere around July. So we need to get somebody in there to start manning the station and getting used to it and training on it. So.
Any, Mr. LaFrance?
Yes, I would just like to say that I hope we can hire somebody close to that pumping station. The closer it is, the better it is right now, because presently we have somebody that's operating the Diamond pumping station and have to shut it off to go to the Point LaHash pumping station. So hopefully whoever we decide to hire, that they would consider about hiring someone right in that area.
Yes, we've been trying to hire a pump operator now for about 2 months, and we haven't gotten any names or qualified personnel, so we're trying to get it as much as possible.
You let me know what is the qualification of a pump operator?
It's on the board, sir. I don't know personally right offhand, but I can get it for you.
Okay.
Okay.
He does this right here. Mr. Blake,
you
push your button. Ms. Newberry?
Scott, you said we already have a position open for a pump, so this would be the second position we would need for another pump.
Well, we have Bellevue across the river that we're trying to hire a pump operator for too. But this one here is Magnolia. It's on the west bank,
I have a.
and it's a brand-new station that the Corps built.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Mr. Blink?
Sure. When I was campaigning, I met a couple of ex-pump operators, retired pump operators within District 8, and they expressed a willingness to go back to work on a part-time basis with the government. Has there been any headway with civil service in getting those folks back in the queue? I understand that's the bottleneck.
Well, you got to send them that way and fill out the application and see where they go from there, so.
Mr. Blink, if you would give me those names and get those people, I will try to get those in as fast as we could. If they willing to work and even on a part-time basis, and they're able bodies and they've been there, absolutely.
Got it. All right, I'm going to follow up with them. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Yeah, I just want to, the administration had been double tasking with pump operators. And when it rains and stuff, the grass can't cut no grass. The grass cutters are manning the pump on each bank. So that was a good idea of doing that to make sure we still have the pump, some of the pump going on, even though we at 50%. One day we'll get at 100%. Well, we decide to get some money. Somebody give us something. But that was a great idea to do that because that means we still can have some supportive drainage along the highways and stuff. So I want to thank y'all for doing that.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, are we advertising for part-timers or full-timers?
This one is full-time, and the other one that we have for the Bellevue is full-time. But if Mr. Blink has some names that, look, we're going to try to scramble.
My point is this, we've talked about this for several years now. I think we need to advertise for part-timers so these individuals know that they can apply for part-time. Because the ones that I've talked to in the Belle Chase area, they would like to come back and work part-time as well. But we need to advertise for the right position.
Well, Mr. Russo, that's a great idea, and if you have some names too, please forward them to me, and we'll make in touch, and we'll create whatever we can.
As soon as they hit the board, I will contact them and tell them to go fill out the application. But they really have to be advertised.
Any other questions from the council, administration, the audience?
Ralph Forshey, Belle Chase. I got a question. You know, we've talked about this several times, and I don't think that this has not made any headway, not real sure why. But, you know, I was watching the news the other day, and there's a parish across the lake that has seen the future, I should say, of what should have been done down here in Plaquemines Parish for years, and that is you can make all of these pumping stations remotely ran. You can get water levels on both sides, the protected side and the flood side. You can do all of these things without an operator if you build and if you bring in the correct equipment. So I'm not sure why we're not moving in that direction to try to make these things more efficient and more profitable to run for the parish, because that's exactly what this does. That's what the oil field did for years and years. I mean, look, all of you guys that's worked in oil field, y'all know about remote access and remote controls and so on and so forth for oil field related stuff. You can also do this for a freaking water pump too. Okay, a water pump's very easy to do this too. So anyway, I suggest that we start looking and doing things smart and planning for some of this stuff instead of saying we don't have any operators, so we can't pump the water. So sorry, streets that flood and can't flush your toilets and can't do all of these things that the citizens of this parish should be able to do at any time point in their life, and do some things that would help with the system. Thank you.
Mr. Blink?
Sure, I was pulling St. Tammany Parish's millage and couldn't quite get there in time, but I mean, it's significantly more than what. What?
I wish I'm gonna find out.
But I mean,
It was one of the poor ones. It was like Livingston Parish.
yeah, I mean, they're machines. We can do whatever we want, you know, as long as there's the funding to do it. I mean, there's some legislation I have for the Empire Floodgate to get an automated tide gauge so people could be on the front of their boat knowing when it's time to get out get in and out of the floodgate, which I would love to see action on that. But it does cost. It does cost, and we got 6-foot high grass in the ditches in some of my district that I would love handled, but we're just not there.
Thank you.
24-hour operation.
Any other questions from the audience? Machines are open. Let the record show 7-0. Mr. Roussel stepped out for a second. Can we go to 11E1? Can we?
He has to
the
go to
proclamation?
3 first.
All right.
Item number 3, proclamations.
Proclamation? I didn't think we had any.
This would be a suspension of the rules.
For a proclamation?
Yes, sir. A proclamation proclaiming June 19th, 2021 as Juneteenth in the parish of Plaquemines.
Mr. Bartholomew, you offer?
Yes, sir, I do.
Any second?
Second.
Second by Mr. LaFrance, voting on the suspension. It passes 8-0.
A proclamation proclaiming June 19th, 2021 as Juneteenth in the parish of Plaquemines. Would you like me to read it, the entirety of it, Mr. Bartholomew?
We good?
Okay.
Any-
We need an offer and a second.
Mr. Bartholomew offers a unanimous second. Is there any objection to the unanimous second? None being. Any questions from the council? Audience, machines open. It passes 8-0. Can we go to 11E1 now? Thank you.
11E1, update on Suzie Bayou, District 7, Councilmember LaFrance.
Yes, I have several people here that would like to speak on this item. Mr. Henry, can I speak, please?
My name is Mark Youngling. I have a property on 1L Suzie Bayou in Port Sulphur. I have a property actually on Suzie Bayou. What happened was that one time they were going to propose to dredge the canals there and make it more accessible for the waterways, especially going back towards Wood Park. It's really non-navigable for boats to get back there now. And at one time they had bamboo posts that were actually, looks like they were going to do some work. They were doing some surveying something. So, and then we thought they were really going to start with that project. And then it fell by the wayside. I'd like to find out from the council if anybody has any information what happened there, what dropped the ball. How come they didn't start that dredging?
Mr. Helmers, you know?
Mr. Helmer?
John Helmers, Coastal Director. The original dredge contractor abandoned the contract. So we are reformulating the permit, and the project should be let out for construction in August. Spoke with Mr. Dugas, the engineer, and all the funds from the coastal bond are in place. So this project should start towards the beginning of this fall. August.
Thank you. Is there any other person from Susie Bayou, Lake Hermitage?
Mike Hinyip, 179 Deer Road, Lake Hermitage. All this started back in when Rita took place. It started then. And in 2008, we had Isaac, and this really put a cap on it. I was talking with, and at the time was Billy Nungesser, our president. He handed it off to Ken Dugas, which we've been working on for since then. The fund was put in place 2012. Okay, so we've been dealing with this since then. We have a lot of commercial fishermen in the area, can't get out when the tide's low. Now, when the tide is just normal and we get a hard south wind for 2 or 3 days, we get flooding. And I'm not saying this is the dredging is a fix-all for this, but it's definitely going to help. I mean, it'll alleviate some of the flooding we get now in the summertime. But this been going on since way back when, and hadn't got any results. They came out, they surveyed it at one time. They did the survey, which probably cost the parish money. That fell through. That all the survey sticks and markers or whatever, they disappeared. The other thing is the contract originally called for suction dredging. They're going to spend more time fixing suction dredges than dredging the canals, I can assure you. And I've been in construction a long time, and they got more stuff in them canals now. A suction dredge is just not going to get it out. I can tell you, they're going to be fighting it. So, but the main thing is we can't get in and out. When the tide's low, the commercial boats that a lot of us have in there, and regular fishing boats can't get out. It's filled up that much that you can't pass. So we have all these camp owners, fishermen, commercial guys, they can't get out the bay when the tide's low. And if you do try to get out, you damage all your equipment. So that's why we've been pushing this so long to try to get it dredged. And I'm gonna tell you, after Isaac, and I ain't got to tell y'all who owned Myrtle Grove Marinas, but 6 months after the Isaac passed, Myrtle Grove Marina was dredged out. That canal was dredged. And it was deep, So that's what we've been fighting all this time. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Mr. Roussel?
Yes. Could you elaborate, I'm asking Mr. Helmers, what's the source of funding on this? Because I've been dealing with this project since 2015 when Ms. Salvant was here. I know there's been a raid trying to take some of this money out of the project over the years. Could you tell me where the money originally came from for this project?
The original money came from the coastal bonds, and
Yes.
it's still in the coastal bond for Mr. LaFrance's district.
Right. I know we had some confusion recently that someone was saying it was Hurricane Katrina, PW money and all at one of the meetings, and I wanted to make sure.
No, it's from the coastal bond.
Let me finish.
Okay.
And so I wanted to make it clear that, we appropriated that money from the coastal bonds for this project. And I know that there's been some effort to try to take some of these funds to do other things, but I'm hoping that at this time that y'all stick to the project and get it bid. I can sympathize with the residents who have been here trying to get this project done for years, and it was intentionally appropriated for this project, and I'm hoping that y'all can build it.
We will do our best.
That's all I have.
Mr. Blank?
Sure, Mr. Helmers, is there a way to alter the project at this point in time where it's done with a bucket dredge and there's a ridge component instead of just filling in a bunch of duck ponds? Which, admittedly, that was probably the misstep on why the project took so long. There was a change in land ownership
there was
and different preferred duck ponds were going to be filled in. Is that
right? There was the reason it got delayed was there was sale of property and different owners came in and they didn't want it in one place, they wanted another place, and then the contractor really bid low, and he didn't want to do the job, and he pulled out. But if we do a re-engineering of this project right now, you're going to cut up, a third of the money that's left to go back to redesign and engineering this thing. So when we bid it out, they'll come in and they'll run the sonograph. They'll know what's underneath there. They'll know all the junk that they have to get out, and they will bid that accordingly.
All right.
Thank you.
One more thing, though. I would like to add that if we don't have this dredge before Mid-Barataria comes in, then it won't be on the list for dredging afterwards. And so it's probably prudent to make sure it gets done before
Absolutely.
that happens.
Mr. Roussel?
Do you have any idea how much money has been spent on engineering to date?
I do not. I
Did
can
you
get
get
that
that
from Mr. Dugas.
Please provide that to us.
Absolutely.
Henry McAnasty, 123 West Shirley, Lake Hermitage. Y'all said the contractor withdrew from the project, and apparently he did some scope, some work, and apparently we paid him for that. So can we try to redeem our money back from him for what we paid him? He's the one that backing out the contract. I don't see why we should have to pay him for something that he didn't fulfill. Would that be a...
Mr. Roussel?
Could you provide us with that information about the original contractor, how much we paid him and how much we have left in the budget?
I asked, last council meeting I come to in Point Lash, I asked for these figures, and...
You didn't get them?
We didn't get nothing. Carlton sent me something, but there's no figures of, I want to know how much money it was, how much we paid the contractor for easy work to come stick a cane pole. I could stick a cane pole.
So let me ask this. Would you please do you have an email address?
Yeah, I have it.
Yes.
Would you please provide us the information and copy Mr. McAnasty on it?
I have it.
And I'd like for y'all to have Mark's email be, he'll kind of spearhead the project because I'm kind of...
Provide the email address to Mr. Helmers and we'll get whatever information we get, we'll ask him to copy you on.
Thank y'all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Move along, man.
Something else to say here. I guess kind of elaborating a little bit on Henry's point. If we paid this contractor to do some survey work and it wasn't completed or anything, do we have some documentation maybe of what he did do? So maybe we can use it so we don't have to maybe spend money re-engineering something that already somebody else did?
Look, I agree with you 100%, and I'm all about that kind of work. I would hope that the manager of the project, Mr. Helmers, would be on top of that and do that. If not, the legal department could get involved and maybe they could write some letters. However, I don't know any of these details. I'm glad you're bringing them forward. We're asking them to provide us with the details and we'll work from here.
Okay, and just on that point too, when you said they're going to let the contract, you said in August, I guess, correct?
Yes, sir.
How long does it take when you let the contract that we'll actually see some work actually being done on the canal?
It's going to advertise for 30 days. This fall, you should see some work being done. Once it's awarded, then they'll have a start date with inside the window. The contractor will have to provide his insurance and bonds and all that stuff, so that's why I said this fall, we should see some progress.
Okay. And do we have a timeline for this once it starts? How long is it going to take
I
to?
won't know that until we get the bid back.
Okay.
And how much soil we actually have to pull out of the bayou and fill. We have some of that information now, but that obviously changed over the time period from way back when till now.
Can we be kept abreast of that, the schedule of that?
I'll email you the information, provide me an email address.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
My name's David Banks, and I have a camp at 121 Suzie Bayou Road, and I'm not the professional fisherman, have it there for recreational use for my family. And we have pictures on low tide just in February that there's so much stuff at the bottom of these bayous or canals that it's scary and it's dangerous for the young to use any kind of water sports in the area. And not only water sports, but driving through there. You're always hitting the bottom of your engine and needs repair. So I wish I would take consideration of this money that has already been allocated and do what's supposed to be done with it. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you.
Do I have anybody else? Mr. Chairman, if you would indulge me. Mr. David Gilliard?
Already did that. David Gilliard, 408 Moncla, but I have also a campsite at 292 West Cass Lane, Lake Hermitage. I'm showing up here today to follow up. I think it's already in motion before the parish legal on public versus private roads and the maintaining of those. I provided Councilman LaFrance with a donation of public utility servitude that I and my wife signed over to the parish in 2005. And it says on this, and I don't know how many other people down in Lake Hermitage, but when the water line was coming through, had to sign it to give up the servitude. But in black and white, it says, donee shall repair, maintain, and upkeep that portion of said servitude upon which said public utility lines are located. And it's supposedly a 20-foot servitude. Most of the places down there, the water line is running in the roads. So since then, we've had no repair from the parish on any of it. Every time I call, oh, that's a private road. Y'all got to take care of yourself. So I'm bringing this up because I think there needs to be a decision, yes or no, if the parish is going to take care of it or not. I mean, I have no problem taking care of my 127-foot of roadway in front of me, but I can't take care of the 1,000-foot or better that gets to me. And there's a person down there that's running a business, has a lot of activity on the road. The garbage truck goes down to pick up garbage twice a week, detrimental to the road. We've done several projects, not projects, but where we paid and put material on the road, and I refuse to do it anymore. So I'm just asking y'all for consideration on that and make a decision either way. But I guess there needs to be some accountability.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, I don't know if the legal department you said the legal department is working on this?
What he sent me, I sent it to legal.
And then prior to that, I think
Dealing with the right-of-way in Murder Road.
it was months ago, I gave a copy of this to Mr. James Madare. He was providing a bunch of information, I guess through GIS department, to legal. Mr. Rennie Burris is what I was told. I don't know where it's going or where it's at this point and if any decisions have been made on
Mr.
it.
Madare is no longer here, but from my recollection is those utility servitudes are just that, for utilities. If they don't dedicate the road, then it's still a private road with a public utility down it. That's the way that I believe that it's been interpreted in the past, and Mr. Rennie Burris.
I'd appreciate if somebody has forwarded me an email, if they can re-forward it to me, because I do get issues about roads a lot, but I don't have an email from anyone on this specific road. So if you want to email me at rburris@ppgov.net, I'll be happy to look at what you send me. But I'd love someone to forward me an email that was previously sent to me, because I don't think one was.
So you're saying you didn't get any documents from?
I'm saying I don't recall. I'm not saying without a doubt. No, I'm just saying
a group of roads that were being considered, not just this road or
What's that now?
Roads, I thought it was a group of roads, and they were trying to find information, and
I get questions about roads all the time. The problem is each roads are unique. I mean, there's not a general legal opinion I can give on all roads. I mean, each right of way is acquired under specific circumstances, under specific facts. And Mr. Roussell's right. If it's just a utility servitude, then that doesn't make it a road, or it doesn't make it a public road. So now, if the parish has used a road, maintains the road, et cetera, and there's a certain amount of facts supporting those conclusions, then, I can make a determination that something's public. But
so you didn't get a copy from Mr. LaFrance either?
I'm not saying he didn't send it. I'm saying I don't recall having one, and if he has sent it, I'm asking him to re-forward it to me, or I'm asking you to forward it to me, and I'll take a look at it.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Is that it, Mr. LaFrance?
That's it.
Go back to the...
Oh, we have another gentleman.
Susie Bayou?
My name is Johnny Wilson. I live on 151 Susie Road, Port Sulphur. We have the same problem with our road, but we don't own our road. Our road's a servitude, and it belonged to Citrus Land, and then Citrus Land sold it to somebody else. And Citrus Lands never did anything to fix our roads, and it's just pushing our roads, just being pushed right off into the swamp. That's where the road ends. Is the road runs right up against the swamp, and they got all kind of big trucks, construction coming down there all the time, and it's just we can't afford to keep putting stuff in there for them to just push our stuff right off into the swamp. So whatever y'all can do to help us out, we really appreciate it, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Back to the agenda, Ms. Morcott.
Item number 4, status report by the parish president.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just really quick, I'm going to be brief. Vaccine updates. Vaccines are currently available to anyone 12 years or older. Vaccines are available at the following locations: the Plaquemines Health Department, Plaquemines Pharmacy, Plaquemines Medical Center, Plaquemines Primary Care, and Delta Drugs. Plaquemines has dropped to 11th in the state of the number of residents completing the vaccination series. Ball season has kicked off. Summer T-ball, softball, baseball started throughout the parish. Looking forward to a successful season. This year we roughly have 600 kids registered parish-wide for baseball recreation, which is incredible. So, and finally, we had a very successful event with Hogs for Cause. It returned with sellout crowds as new location set records for nearly $3 million raised for families fighting pediatric brain cancer. And thanks to all those who participated, but I want to take a special thanks and thank two of my directors, Director Todd Epley and Director Scott Roussell, for a phenomenal job this weekend. So thank you, guys. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Next.
3A, update by charter directors. I'm sorry, that's 4A.
Ms. Newberry?
Yeah, I have a question for Crystal. Give me a second. Crystal, hi. How are we doing with civil service and taking those open positions and rewording those to help with the public to help with the parish to employ some of these positions?
Ms. Newberry, we're right now reviewing those. Civil Service is in possession of copies of those job descriptions. Some of them are groundskeepers, custodians, deckhands, tractor drivers, truck drivers, and we're in the process of doing the review, and she's going to get back to me. She has my suggestions as far as requirements, educational requirements, and some other changes in it. She has my suggestions. She's reviewing to see if she can make those changes.
Does she have to go to the board to make those changes, or she's taken upon herself to make her own changes?
She has that ability. Okay. She is able to make some of those changes.
Are you finished, Ms. Newberry?
I have one more question. The plane is in service right now for
Yes,
the
it
mosquito
is.
control. So you can tell me what areas does the plane spray? Do they just go ahead and elaborate on that?
The plane mainly spray in wooded areas where it's heavily wooded, where trucks can't readily get into. So the East Bank, sometimes down in Venice.
Okay, do they spray the lilies? I mean, it's a big issue that I keep getting pushed.
The lilies, I spoke with, that was brought up at the last meeting. I spoke with Supervisor Chris Denny about the lilies, and what he told me was the Wildlife and Fisheries Department informed them that they cannot spray the lilies directly. There are minnows that's in there for the mosquitoes, in the ponds and things for the mosquitoes. He said, but the spray that they do spray attaches to the stems of the vegetation, and that helps.
Thank you.
Mr. Blank?
Sure. Ms. Taylor, while you're up there, have you ever worked closely with the Mosquito Control Department of New Orleans?
No, I have not.
If y'all ever want to take a visit over there, I'd be happy to go. I met with some of those folks in the past. Right around the time that I took office, they were at an outreach event, and I was able to spend some time with them. They have interesting ways of doing things that just aren't limited to spraying poison in the air. They fill a lot of swimming pools with sand. They use mosquito fish. There's some innovative stuff that they're doing over there. They have a tire shredder that they get their hands on every now and then. I think a couple laps around the parish with something like that to get rid of some standing water on some lots would really, really help. But if you ever want to go over there, I'd be happy to go see those folks again.
Okay, I'll speak with the supervisor and get back with you on that.
And Scott, I've got a couple problem spots that are, with the grass on LA 11 especially. Folks are having trouble seeing a turn. You could please give me a timeline. If it's more than 3 or 4 days, I'll just use my own tractor.
It was in Sunrise today.
They're on Highway 11 now.
They're on Highway 11 now. We had two tractors. We had two tractors on Highway 23 heading south, and we turned them around by the museum, jumped them on Highway 11. So they cutting north now, coming down Highway 11, back north all the way to Home Place.
Yeah,
It should be a couple of days. I mean, they were in Sunrise. I mean, they did a pretty good distance in that short period of time, so they should be there.
In these times with limited personnel and equipment, folks are noticing less densely populated areas like the citrus lands tend to be cut, but maybe their neighborhood is not, and that's, we might have to start prioritizing in a way where, we're not cutting the sides of 23 in the middle of the citrus lands where nobody lives, but maybe we are focusing on those more densely populated areas. We could probably alleviate a lot of citizen complaints and operate
work on
that. Thank y'all for putting the effort in behind the scenes. We appreciate y'all.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, as I stated at the last meeting, my constituents are requiring me to ask these questions in a public meeting, and even though you might present a written report. So I will begin with the update and discussion of the Fort St. Leon Drainage Project. Could you give us an update on that?
Yes, sir. The Fort St. Leon Drainage Project is still in the design phase. The design phase is nearing completion, and we expect to have the final submittal from the design consultant by June 18th.
And then it'll go out for bid.
Yes, sir. We'll review the submittal. If everything's fine with the submittal, it'll go out for bid.
The next one would be the status of the upgrades to the Belle Chase water plant and intake. I've been hearing for quite some time that the money is short. Is that accurate? I know we got a $4 million grant for that water intake, and at the Regional Planning Commission meeting yesterday, or rather Tuesday, we had some discussion about where the project stands.
I'm not aware of us being short any money for that project. We don't have a lot of extra money, but I'm not aware of us being short.
So we cover the engineering fees and all, and the construction estimates already accounted for.
That's what I'm told from engineering, yes,
So we're
sir.
waiting on a permit from the Corps?
We are still waiting on a permit from the Corps because they're not happy with the slope paving analysis. It looks like we'll have to have someone else do the slope paving analysis in order to get it past the Corps.
Another engineering firm?
Yes. No, testing.
Tested.
Testing firm.
Okay. The next item would be the Walker Road maintenance. I've had some complaints about the rock. Are we busting tires?
I mean, they've been putting limestone. I'm not sure about other material. I spoke with the supervisors, and they said they put limestone on it. We just got a barge load of limestone about a week and a half ago. So they've been grading it, and, I mean...
So do we get the right size stone on there?
Yes, sir, the limestone we got? Yes, sir.
All right. Wait, someone wants to mention this, and I have one last request after this.
Donald Vella. Scott, what he's referring to, for a period of about 2 or 3 weeks, we must have had 12 flat tires on that road, and it really wasn't from nails or anything. It was punctures from the large limestone they were using. Now, it's not from that barge just came in. It's not that barge. It was prior to that period, which I mentioned to you. But there were huge stones with almost spiked ends on these things, which some people referred to it as crushed concrete, but it was limestone. But they were getting, I don't know where it came from, that load, but it was terrible. I mean, we literally had punctures, 12 different customers down there, broken down the side of the road.
I'll check into it, superintendent.
By the way, since you're talking about you grading that road and you got all that limestone, how often are you going to grade that road? When's that new grader going to be there? You got a schedule?
It's been there 3 times since we got it, okay? We graded Oakville, Walker Road, Bayou Road, Cass, Point Celeste, Lake Hermitage, Ironton. We was at Happy Jack and Grand Bayou. It's working its way down. Mark got quite a few down below. Then we got to take it and get it across the river. We got roads all over the place we got to grade. So in between the rain events and then getting it back to working, because the guy that runs it is a pump operator. So we working at it. We got quite a few roads down the road that we got to get on it too. So
Thank you for that. I'm interested in Walker Road, though.
Hey, watch it now.
The last item I have is the discussion and pending drainage work request on Prody Drive, Clausen Road, and Cedar Drive. The issue on Prody Drive is that someone has tried to develop some trailer spots in the back, and they've clogged up the ditch. And the pictures that I've sent to your office show that the entire neighborhood in a heavy rain is flooded to where it's like their trailers in a lake. And it's because of some alteration of the drainage along Prody Drive in the rear where someone is trying to put some trailers. And I don't know if y'all are going to deal with it, but that's the issue for Prody Drive. But the issue for Clausen and Cedar Drive, I thought we were on the back ditch for the base. That main outfall canal that runs from Walker Road all the way behind those streets into the base drainage system hasn't been cleared in years. And there are trees that have fallen into the canal. And that is causing all of the servitudes in the areas to back up because it's not getting into the outfall canals to the pump stations eventually through the base. And so what happens is the sewer systems don't work and it's just a multiplier. So we need to address that main outfall canal that runs parallel, it's called probably the Augusta Canal, back there to get those trees out of there so we can at least let the servitudes drain and the streets drain and alleviate a host of problems. So I had those work requests been pending for quite some time, but I'll keep them on the agenda to see if we can make some progress.
We'll work on it.
I hear that. Thank you. Favorite words.
Finish.
Recalling my work.
Mr. Blink?
Sure, Scott. Is there a master list for the places that the grader needs to take care of? It seems like sometimes places maybe skip through the cracks. Is there just like a north to south list of all of the places that it needs to go, or just we're relying on memory?
Well,
There's a list of all.
Libby's working on the list. Some people say their road is public, some aren't.
Doty has a copy of it. Public and private road list.
Yes. But
I mean-
that, I don't know if that list is actually correct. We're working on that, and we was gonna get with you to make sure which roads down the road that you give us, so we can check, Libby's checking out to make sure that they are private or public, and we're gonna work on it that way.
You're working through the legal department on that. When you start checking off roads, public and private,
Right.
you know, I understand Libby is the administrative assistant or the parish president secretary. The legal department needs to be.
Cross-training.
What's that?
We're cross-training.
She's got a legal degree?
No, we're cross-training.
My point is, we've had lists float around here for many, many years, like this gentleman who just left the building. He heard his, we need to know if there's a legal basis for the road being called public or private.
That's what we're working on,
Okay,
sir.
through the legal department.
To get a better list.
All right, thank you.
All right, wait, I wasn't finished. I'm sorry. Okay. There was some skipping around not too long ago, some of the ditches in Jessup Bend. For instance, like Wallace Lane was passed over. I'm not sure if there was some sort of reason for that, but are those lanes, are those outfall ditches that were skipped over recently, are they going to be circled back around?
Yes, sir.
Got it.
Yes, sir. And we've been cutting, we went down and moved some trees off of some of the servitude, some of the ditch banks. We got to go back at it, the rain come out, got it all wet, instead of tearing up the property. But we're going to be circulating back around. Yes, sir.
Got it. All right, and so it's okay to submit, I guess, to Ms. Libby, some of these places that we want to make sure the grader isn't skipping over. For instance, there's some just, rock and shell areas along the side of LA 11 that maybe have, 8 or 10 inch drop off. Places like that maybe just need a little bit of dressing, but are obviously parish right-of-ways, things like that. So, or should I get that to you, or what's the protocol there?
Yeah, you could send it to us, and we'll look into it.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Go back to the agenda.
Bids and
We
advertising.
had bids and advertisements now.
There are no bids and advertisements. Beer and liquor licenses.
You have any, Dr. Gui?
I have two, one for the OLPH Parish Fair, which will be held October 8th through the 10th. And I have one for the We Blend Cafe, which is at 8613 Highway 23, Belle Chasse.
Anyone else? Mr. LaFrance?
Yes, I have one special event application for Gregory Ingraham, the Party Boys, on 6th, the 19th, 2021 at Ironton Park. Fundraiser.
Mr. Blink?
Oh, I don't have any. I'm sorry.
I'll offer.
Mr. Roussel offers there a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. LaFrance. Machines open. Passes 7-0. Let the record show Mr. Bartholomew's left.
7A1, Woodland Borrow Pits LLC.
Deferred.
7A3, Plaquemines Dirt and Clay LLC.
Deferred. And 784. Deferred.
Thank you. 7A5, Turn Services Application Number 2021-401 dated April 29, 2021. Install new ramp crossing at Algiers Canal West Levee Gulf Intracoastal Waterway at 1725 Engineers Road, Belle Chasse. Councilmember Roussel.
I'll offer next for a second.
Mr. Roussel offers there a second. Second by Ms. Newberry. Any questions from the council, administration, audience? Machine's open. It passes 7-0.
7B, Charles Cangelosi Camper Trailer in a Floodplain Zoning District, 337 Martin Lane, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered.
Take them all in global? Global?
Let's do the fireworks in Global.
All right, go ahead with Mr. LaFrance offers that second. Second by Ms. Newberry.
Before we move on, I want to let the administration know that some people are getting permits and not doing what they say they're going to do with these permits. They're using third-party inspection. They are operating commercially without fire marshal inspection, without final inspection. I have a situation back at Happy Jack. They applied for storage, and they're using the place as a restaurant.
I'd be happy to look into it if you would follow me to the locations that we need to look at.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So you are our code enforcement?
Code enforcement falls under me, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the machines open? Passes 7-0.
Okay, in Globo, we're going to be taking 7C, D, and E together. 7C, Empire Fireworks, Charles Lenormand, fireworks stand renewal for 2021, 32381-B, Highway 23, Empire, Louisiana. Councilmember Blink. D, Lots Fireworks, fireworks stand renewal for 2021, 9273, Highway 23, Belle Chasse, Louisiana. Councilmember Gouy. And E, Lot Boys 2, Logan Lot Fireworks stand renewal for 2021, 1454 Woodland Highway, Belle Chasse, Louisiana. Councilmember Black.
Do I have someone to offer? Offered by Dr. Gouy. Second by Mr. Blink. Any questions from the council, administration, audience?
My only question is, does Councilman Black want us to move on his item on the agenda today? Does anybody know?
He said to defer all his items, but this is,
Fireworks?
yeah.
I know we got people in the audience. I'm hoping that we don't defer all of the items because, okay.
We'll go with it.
Ms. Newberry.
They pass 7-0. Mr. Burris, you want to defer 7A1, 9A1?
Right, so I think 9A1 needs to be voted on in Point LaHash.
Go to introductions.
Number 8, introductions. Okay, the following introductions are for Councilmember Kodnovich. An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of Lot JJ-2, Section 31, T20S, R29E, Southeastern District of Louisiana, west of the Mississippi River, Triumph, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots JJ-2A and JJ-2B, Section 21, T20S, R29E, Southeastern District of Louisiana, west of the Mississippi River, Tryon, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated March 15, 2021, the owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Parish President, Kirk M. Lapine, for and on behalf of the Plaquemines Parish government to enter into an agreement, Jefferson Parish Finance Authority, for the purpose of allowing low to moderate income borrowers of Plaquemines Parish to participate in the authority's Southern Mortgage Assistance Program and Lanyap Advantage Program, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution expressing Plaquemines Parish's opposition to House Bill 535, which provides for a coastal exclusion zone, the prohibition of the taking of Manhattan in the exclusion zone, and the prohibition of the use of certain vessels and equipment in the exclusion zone, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. For Councilmember LaFrance, a resolution approving the request for a conditional use to gun Nola Oil Terminal, LLC, for a concrete pile fabrication plant and construction materials yard in a floodplain zoning district located on a certain tract of land designated as the southern portion of parcel 1176225, Highway 23, Myrtle Grove, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Section 10, Township 17, South, Range 25 East, all in accordance with application number 2021-456, dated February 12, 2021. For Councilmember Roussel, an ordinance to amend and amended to readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District map therein adapted by reference and which is paraphrased thereto, with reference to application number 2021-460, dated March 9, 2021. For Councilmember Gouy, a resolution granting conditional approval for a plan of subdivision of River Chase Properties, LLC, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, lots 11 through 20, into lots 11A, 13A, 15A, 17A, and 19A, Square 50, Belle Chase Town Site by Bryant Hammond and Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated October 12, 2020, revised May 5, 2021, without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines. For Councilmember Black, an ordinance to amend the 2021 Criminal Court Fund operating expenditure budget, Criminal Court Department, and the 2021 General Fund operating revenue budget, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. For Councilmember Bartholomew, an ordinance to amend the 2021 General Fund operating expenditure budget, City and Ward Court Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2021 General Fund manpower structure and operating expenditure budget, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the introductions.
Ms. Mulcott, can we go to 11I? Mr. Bartholomew never told me about this one.
11I, discussion on FEMA elevations on the East Bank by Clarence Brock.
Good evening. Clarence Brock, Phoenix, Louisiana, 156 crossover land, 70040. The elevation. I hope y'all know that they got the elevation effect came in effect January 1st for the East Bank. Everything that's on the outside of the flood walls, and down in on the East Bank, if you want to purchase a mobile home, a brand new mobile home, and you want to get, you got to have flood insurance on it. It costs $40,000 for a mobile home, and the elevation gonna cost about $170,000 because the guy told me for every foot it's $10,000, and the elevation, the average home on East Bank is 17 feet high. We can't afford that. We cannot afford that. So, and they tell me if you want to get a permit for a new construction, if you want to build a home, you got to pay $100 for elevation permit. That's something else they put on us that we can't afford. For Katrina, on East Bank, from Parnahas to Devant, from Parnahas to Phoenix, we lost everything. Every home was destroyed, and it was done by water. So that's why they're doing the elevation thing, because the water destroyed everything on East Bank from Parnahas to Phoenix. And then when Isaac came, it destroyed all the homes. We had 8 feet of water in the homes from Breakaway to Phoenix. So, and 90% of the people on the East Bank from in Parnahas area did not have flood insurance, but they had a home on insurance. So, because the insurance company said our home was destroyed by water, it wasn't by wind, so we were stuck with coming out of our own pockets to replace our homes. What I'm asking from the parish council and from the parish government, I know I can't go against FEMA, and I know there ain't too much y'all could do about FEMA, but I want y'all to just feel our pain that we can't afford that not to have flood insurance on the East Bank. Because for Katrina, we're supposed to get the levees. I came to a meeting in Belle Chase, and they said that they're going to have $1 billion plus to build levees to protect us. And the levees was built, the flood walls came, but we put us on the outside of the flood wall. And all the damage was done to us. So we being penalized for something that, we being penalized. We can't get flood insurance because we can't afford to elevate our homes. If the ones that can afford to flood their homes, they won't be able to use their homes. Going up the steps, 17, 18 feet up high, the average person is over 60 years old. They can't do it. If we do get our homes elevated, how are we going to do any maintenance to our home? We can't pressure wash our homes. We can't repair a small window or something like that. So it's going to be too hard for us to live over there. It's getting to a point that if anybody up in the age, if a hurricane come, and it's going to come again, I missed my show, the levees nothing hasn't been done to the levees. Since Katrina, the water came across the levee for Katrina's. Only thing they did was cut the grass. Highway 39 levee, haven't been done anything. Highway 15 levee, nothing been done to it. Even Highway 15 levee still have huge holes in it. So, and it's a matter of time those holes gonna give away. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2. I'm talking about good 12 or 15 holes in it, large holes big enough that you could drive a truck through it. So, so it's a matter of time that we're gonna get flooded again. If we do, we can't replace our homes because we won't be able to afford to get our houses elevated. And like I say, if we do get elevated, we won't be able to use them. A lot of people are up in age now, they cannot go up those steps. So they're going to give us the elevator. And the elevator going to have insurance on it for about 2 years. And when they break, they can't afford to get them fixed. So I don't know what to say. So I know if all of us get together, the parish government and the council and the government and the people of the community will start complaining about FEMA that putting this extra charge on us. They might hear us, but they probably won't do anything about it. So, but I just want to let you know that elevation is hurting us. The young kids that's graduating from Phoenix High School and people that are living on the East Bank and the people that are on the far end of the parish, the younger people are not going to stay down there. And the older people, we're going to die out. So what to do?
Mr. Clarence, I feel your pain. We're not as high as y'all, but we got to go up 15 feet.
We got to go 17.
And, fighting the government, fighting FEMA. So
But I heard y'all when they're talking about this saltwater diversion. I see y'all throw a couple licks in there and y'all staying pretty good on your ground. So just asking y'all, look down deep and see if y'all got some more punches y'all can fight for us with this elevation. If FEMA hear our cry, they might do something.
We'll try.
All right, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else with a comment? Ms. Marcotte?
I'd like to comment on that.
Yes, sir.
Donald Valet, Bill Chase. We ran across that problem when we originally looked at that development on Braithwaite for those 11 fourplexes we talked about earlier today. It required an elevation of 17 feet. We looked at the entire West Bank when we looked at that development as to what the rest of the homeowners were going to do in the Braithwaite subdivisions that are over there, is all the way down the river on the East Bank. There was no solutions to the problem. The parish is required, and Todd, you correct me if I'm right, to require any permit that you issue that it be elevated and start off at 17 feet according to FEMA's regulations, so that they can acquire flood insurance. Even if they don't want flood insurance, you all still require them to build that high. You know, y'all heard a proposal today for 44 units that came before you. There was a $5 million grant from Louisiana Housing Corporation, and if you made an application for it, could have assisted these people with some of these elevations or moved them to a different location. You're going to have to either deal with the 17 feet, which they can't afford to do, and it's impossible. They're going to have to move or leave. And you really need to provide new shelter for all the people that need to be relocated, and somewhere the parish, through whatever funds are available, and there are funds available for relocation, do something for them in that regards. And that really from you all directing the administration to go after that money.
Thank you. Mr. LaFrance?
Mr. Valley, you think that money can be rerouted for elevation to people who have homes to elevate their homes?
At the present time, technically, no. It was designed and committed through the Katrina money that was left over through Office of Community Development, who manages those monies that we serviced at that time for multifamily developments. That doesn't mean you can't ask for a waiver and go back to HUD and ask for it. If this development doesn't pan out, you have to follow through with the developments at hand. They have the rights to those funds if it's developable. If they turn it back in or forego it, there could be some developments. There's no reason why you couldn't finance 17 or 20 trailers or whatever the case might down the road as some elevation and relocation for all these people. But you're going to have to put a plan together and look at what money's available. You're going to have to get the governor's office to get involved in it. And Mr. Bartholomew serves on the board, another board with the governor. I don't think he can ask for that. But you got to put a plan together. You got to identify how many people there's over there that needs this to be displaced, how many citizens you lose, how many children you got, and what the age groups and population. They can't afford to build 17 feet in the air. It's ridiculous. It won't happen. Like you said, the elevators are going to break. That's just a part of it. I mean, you don't have the money for the flood protection to protect that entire East Bank, and somewhere along the lines, it's going to, like you said, it's going to be history. Oyster fishermen know it.
Mr. Blink?
Sure. I mean, there were efforts to talk about adapting to sea level rise or changing conditions as a community. We had those meetings here through LA Safe, and it seemed like talking about relocation was a non-starter. And I mean, it was a grassroots effort. You know, I mean, it was we're sitting around round tables, talking amongst ourselves about it. And go ahead, Mr. Valley.
The state put together a $50 million deal to move that tribe of Indians from Thibodaux to a new city. They created a new complex over there and spent tons of money, and it's far going to exceed the $50 million. There's available. HUD is the one that should be gone to first.
This administration is now probably more amiable to helping in those type of ways, but I mean, in my experience, I think people want to stay where they're at and they want to help adapting in place.
I mean, we have lobbyists that I watch y'all hire with Trains Group and all for the port. You got people in need. I mean, the port's necessary and would be a good economic development. But at the same time, we need to take those people that we're paying all these big dollars to in Washington and get them out there to do something for the people here. I don't want to take the reverend's position for the people, sure, but it's necessary. Yes, Reggie.
A quick informal survey here. I don't know who, I'm looking around, I mean, I see some folks who live inside the levee system in Belle Chase, but maybe others not so much. If you could take a buyout right now and get an equal value for your property and go somewhere else, would you?
Yep.
Showing of hands?
No.
1, 2.
Nope.
And who wants to adapt in place? Like raise their house or, something like that.
That's right.
Thank y'all. Appreciate that.
You're going to face that in Jesuit Bend shortly.
I know. And the thing is, I can't get 4 people to agree on what time it is.
Mr. LaFleur.
So, I mean, adapting as a community is a hard lift,
Nobody wants to move to Parish.
Mr. LaFrance.
Just let it go. Go ahead.
The question, the answer to that question, do we want to leave our area? This is what I could tell you myself. I'm 66 years old. It's God willing. I make 67 in July. I've been down in Plaquemine Parish in Phoenix the whole 67 years. And that's where I want to stay. That's home. To leave home is not easy. I've been all over the world in the military, but I was always willing to come back home. And my property, where my house is right now, is not for sale. I built that house by hand. I got a good I'm pretty good with electrical, mechanical, and structure. I built my own house, and it's irreplaceable. I lost my home for Katrina. I rebuilt in the same spot. It's not for sale. And the levees that's supposed to have been there, that $1 billion they say coming, we just knew the levee was going to be built and the flood wall going to be around us. We don't want to leave. We want a levee. We want a levee.
Thank you, Mr. Clarence.
All right.
Back to the agenda.
Ma'am.
Okay, 9A1,
Third.
that's deferred, just wanted to make sure. 9A2, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the NASJRB Credit Union Tract 4A Belle Chase Plantation, Belle Chase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots 4B and 4C, Belle Chase Plantation, Belle Chase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plans and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated January 28, 2021, revised March 30th, 2021, the owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines, without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Albro, you offer? There's a second? Second by Mr. Roussel. Any questions from the council, administration, audience?
Corey, what are they doing there? Is this the vacant building that they have now on Belle Chase Highway? Where is this one?
By Oak Tree Road?
I'm sorry?
Oak Tree Road?
Okay, but it's not the other one.
Any other questions? Machines open. And passes 7-0.
9B, an ordinance to amend the 2021 general fund manpower.
9C, deferred.
Nine D, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan Restore Act projects, Restore Act Bayou Eau Noire project, Restore Act Bay Adams project, and Restore Act East Bank Land Bridge project, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer ask for a second. Second by Dr. Gouy. Mr. Helmans, you want to explain?
Y'all had some questions last time about the projects that were on the restore. We put together a timeline when this was all put out as back to 2015, 17, and 18. These projects are in motion now. They're all part of the master plan from CPRA. Bayou and Noire is the one that's advanced the most, and it has a sponsor right now with EPA. We are working towards, the next one is Bay Adams, Headland, and the Ridge.
I got the wrong one up.
Hey, Ken, how you, it's on your, but the packets that I had put on your,
Yeah.
counter, was the information Mr. Roussel requested.
Yes. And,
Wait,
Good.
where's the money coming from?
This is all restore money, that we have, that was from the oil spill. There's no monies are coming from Blackman's Parish.
Mr. Roussel?
Yep. So I'm looking at the engineering bills. Like this one engineering contract is for $3,205,000 just for the engineering?
Yes, sir. That was all vetted and put together and then submitted with, to the U.S. Treasury, which.
Well, how much is the construction cost of the engineering?
That's going to be a $40 million project.
And the same thing for the next project?
Yes, sir. The Bay Adams.
That's 1.2 million?
Yes, for the
For
first.
engineering?
For the first phases of the permits and the environmental impact studies.
We spend a whole lot of money up front on these engineering design projects that, you know,
That's, unfortunately, when you're dealing with 40 million and $50 million projects, that's where that all comes from.
what they use is the curve, right?
What's that?
Instead of negotiating a fee, they use the curve and.
Yes, sir. They use the formulas, that's all in place.
Yeah, that's where they make the mistake.
Right. But if you look at the map I have up on the screen right now, the red line real close to the river, that's the ridge protection for Bayou Noir. It goes through Port Sulphur and the back of Port Sulphur. And then if you look out towards going towards Jefferson Parish, you'll see the Bay Adams Headland Ridge and the East Bank Land Bridge for the other side of the river. About right in the middle of all the yellow will be the beginning of the land bridge where we permit the river for dredging, and we'll have a source to complete all those projects on the East Bank. And if you look at the bridge going towards St. Bernard, there's 5 QIPRA projects that are going into construction this next year. The land bridge will start at the Davan Community Center. We have it where it'll go through our property and it'll be there, and it'll have a 50-year lifespan on it.
I was over there on Monday in the afternoon, and everywhere I would try and go, there's the bayous are blocked, the pipeline canals are blocked. You can't navigate in what is navigable waters, you know, and it's just a detriment. You know, it's hard to get around, and I mean, how much money should Plaquemines Parish government be spending on, you know, the restoration of private property? And look, this is a rhetorical question, you know, but I mean, we need to have access to these areas, and I want that to go on the record, please, that if we're going to, and that needs to be part of any sort of official comments when we're submitting these projects, that the public needs to have access for, you know, reasonable access for hunting, fishing, navigability, that kind of thing.
Right.
Is that something you're comfortable with and agree with?
Yeah, I agree with it, but that is, these projects, our contribution to these projects, or the engineering and design phase to put these together. The main monies are going to come from QIPRA, okay, with a federal sponsor.
Understood.
So, yeah, so they really pick the polders. All this is all part of the master plan. And I understand that some of it's on private property, but if you look at that yellow there, that's going to provide a ton of protection for the folks on the East Bank.
Agreed, but.
Yeah, no, I have no problem putting that language anywhere.
Access.
Yep. To main bayous and stuff like that that are not gated.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Council, administration, audience, machines open. Passes 7-0.
Thank you. Ms. Cameron, you can take it off now. Okay, good. You still need this up here?
9E, a resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council establishing the policy of the parish with regard to the concession facility agreement and directing the president to carry out that policy and to provide for related matters.
Don't have to do that, huh? We could withdraw that?
That's up to you. I mean, I guess the way the administration looks at it is we kind of have a little crisis up here in the north, and I think, we have a vendor who's expressed interest in taking over the north facilities. If, as a general matter, the council is interested in us in doing a parish-wide, okay.
G, a resolution authorizing the parish president to execute an amendment with SBA Towers 2 LLC and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer ask for a second. Second by Dr. Gouy. Mr. Helmans, this is just giving them a permit because their anchors in the wrong spot?
Right, yeah. They when they went to anchor the pole down where they come up from underground, it kind of comes into our property. But this is an easement that'll allow them to get to their cell tower.
That's on the boat harbor?
What's that?
The one at the boat harbor?
No, this is the one right here at the complex.
Mr. Roussel?
This is the one that we've been collecting rent on for many years?
No, sir, that's the franchise from AT&T. This is for a cell tower right away along the fence line of our property to bring a fiber network back to a tower that actually crosses over into Orleans Parish. But when the anchor comes down, it's actually on our property. So we had to give them a right-of-way for that, and they'll be paying a fee of $5,000 a year for that right-of-way.
So this is not the tower location that we rent?
No, that's not the tower location we rent.
But we do rent a tower location back there somewhere?
Not that I'm aware of. Our towers are all over this way. We don't have anything in the back. In other words, instead of going along 406 on the right-of-way with the ditch and the levee and everything there, they came over to our property and requested a route that way.
Right.
So we looked at the route and cleared the route, and then we came up with a $5,000 annual fee for those guys.
Thank you. Any other questions? Administration, audience?
On the Woodlands Conservancy property? Got it. Never mind then. Thank you.
Machines are open. Passes 7-0.
9H, an ordinance to amend the 2021 General Fund Operating Expenditure Budget, Flood Control General Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer ask for a second. Second by Mr. Alborough. Mr. Roussel.
This is just since January, we spent over $300,000 in fuel for the pumping stations with the amount of rain that we've been having and the amount of days we've been having to pump. We're out on our budget line item on that, and we're asking for that $200,000 for fuel to last us to the end of the year, hopefully. It slows down raining.
Where are we getting it from?
Emergency fund. That's what Tommy and Rochelle bought it.
Mr. Blank?
Sure. So the state's coastal master plan apparently is calling for something like 62% more precipitation looking towards the future. And if more rainfall is predictable, we probably need to start sourcing the funding for extra fuel funding for the pumping stations from another location in the future. But I mean, I'm okay with doing it this time.
Anybody know what's in the emergency fund? $500,000, you said? 500 million, all right.
5 million.
5 million. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Administration, audience, machines open. Passes 7-0.
9I, an ordinance to amend the 2021 operating expenditure budget, road maintenance fund, road maintenance public right-of-way department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Blink. We buying a new tractor?
This is money that's in operation at $50,000. We talked about it, about putting it into capital so we could at least purchase one more tractor to help us out because we have a bunch of old ones that keep breaking down. So it'll help us out a little bit.
You buy a tractor for $50,000?
Well, we got a little bit more money in capital that we can equal it out. We don't need the bush hog. All we need is the tractor. Yes, sir.
And any other questions? Ms. Newberry?
Someone to ride on that tractor?
Yes, ma'am.
You can park it at the fort and I'll ride it. Mr. Roussel?
Drive it besides just riding it?
We're going to do our best to cut as much grass as possible, sir.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, you we're getting ready to have a sale of all our surplus equipment. Can we pledge those funds to him so he can get some more tractors instead of putting it in a general fund? All this surplus equipment we're going to sell, why can't he have it to buy tractors and equipment?
Any other questions? Machines are open. Seven zero, it passes. I'll defer, Jay.
M is for Councilmember Blink. Are we deferring that?
Rennie,
I'm sorry, Mr. Black.
Rennie.
What's that?
Jay, you wanted to defer, huh?
Yeah, I think since we're going to be discussing 9A1 and Point Allahash, we probably ought to just have this discussion there as well.
9M's deferred.
And is also deferred.
Deferred.
Number 10, approval of the minutes from the May 27, 2021 regular meeting.
I'll offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Alborough. Any questions from the machines are open? It passes 7-0.
11A1, a resolution authorizing the parish president to enter into an agreement with Snow-LA LLC to provide concessions at Plaquemines Parish Government North Recreation Facilities and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Roussel.
You offer for suspension? Yeah, I'll second. Machines are open on the suspension. It passes 7-0.
A resolution authorizing the parish president to enter into an agreement with Snow-LA LLC to provide concessions at Plaquemines Parish Government North Recreation Facilities and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Roussel, you offer?
Yes, I offer.
Mr. Roussel.
Yes, what this is, a vendor who had the contract for the concession stand has chose to pull out, and the legal department has negotiated an agreement with a local vendor who lives across the street. So I'm asking for support and approval of this.
Any questions from the council?
Yeah.
We need a
Alborough?
We,
second. Sorry.
when I submitted the contract, I left the term blank. I think what the administration would like to do is have this agreement, and having spoken to the vendor, have this agreement extend through soccer of next year. It's my understanding the vendor has been investing a decent sum of money to have this go. And then that would allow the auditor, if he so chooses, to kind of see what the situation is. And then if in the spring next year, when we have a little bit more information, you all may decide you want to bid this out, you all may decide you want to go a parish-wide route like Mr. Kognovich's previous resolution, then I think that'll give us some options. So the administration is recommending that that this agreement go through the end of soccer with the opportunity to renew if we so choose to renew, but I think that'll buy us some time to see if this works out and if it's what we want to continue to do in the future. I couldn't hear you, Mr. Russo.
What's the date soccer ends?
I don't know that we have the schedule yet. It's typically the May.
It'll be over in May.
Okay, May.
1st of May.
Well, yeah, okay, May. Yeah, so that makes sense through the end of soccer. That would be a whole year.
So we are in June. Can we just make it for a year, June to June?
We could make it June to June. I just think it makes sense to say the last day of soccer, whatever that day happens to be. It kind of is what it is. But if you would prefer to go from, we can say May 31st would be the last day.
May 31st. I like something a little solid. May 31st.
We'll say May 31st.
I offer it with that change.
I'll second. Any questions from the council, administration, audience? Machines open. I'll defer 11B.
C is already done. 11D is being deferred. 11G, District 6 update. J, status of the Ladder and Bloom contract and marketing of parish property. Councilmember Roussel.
Looking for a police on the Copeland building at least.
I can, you've been dealing with them, huh?
A little bit.
Mr. Espedron was primarily handling this, and we've since transferred over where Mr. Epperly and I are both kind of working on this, but
So in regard to the Popich building, he would like another inspection done on the Popich building to look at what future costs would be if HVAC is needing to be replaced, if we have other issues, mechanical issues that are going to come up soon in the Popich building because of the age of it. So he's asking us for a reinspection of the building. He's also asking to take a look at Port Eads because he's working to try to market Port Eads for us, and I believe we have 3 different groups that are interested in Port Eads currently. He has students, college students, working on a plan for the government complex, and he is working on a preliminary plan for the Avenue G riverfront property.
My issue with the Popich building, what does he need that new report for when we're trying to lease the facility?
So we know if we have an air conditioner to buy in the very near future, or if we have something else that's a large mechanical expense in the very near future.
What will that have to do with the tenant?
It would be a cost for us. So for him to know if it's worthwhile for us to lease out the building, even if we got to come up with $150,000 to make repairs to the building in the next few years, that obviously would take a lot of rent to cover.
Look, it's getting zero rent right now, and has been for several years. I don't understand why we can't get a tenant or get a tenant in there for the market rate, square foot rate, and if we have to eat an air conditioner, we will eat it down the line. But we've lost 2 years of rent already. And if you put a new air conditioner in there, it doesn't mean that the market for that specific building is going to go high enough to cover that AC. So, I mean, you know, I don't understand unless we're trying to sell a building.
We're asking the gentleman to give us an analysis of if it's worthwhile to lease the building.
Well, if that's the whole thing, what makes it unworthy to lease? What would you do with it?
Sell it.
That's the point. You know, y'all are going around the back door trying to sell the building when we're trying to lease the building. I don't know
Nobody's going
anybody
around
up
the
here
back
that's.
door.
What?
There's no back door. We're looking at what the options are, and we want to make a smart decision, and we want to have a smart decision to bring to you guys to decide what to do with the building.
Smart decision, in my opinion, has been since day one, put a for lease sign out there to lease the second floor. We lost 2 years of rent already. Now we kind of get a scenario to why it's not worth leasing anymore, so we got to sell it. So when you get that scenario, you got to depreciate the building because you've got this report and you sell it for less. This is not making any sense to me, and it's frustrating that we can't get a for rent sign out there.
I understand your opinion.
Why don't y'all implement it? I mean, the board already authorized y'all to hire it under this premise. No one up here has said that it's surplus property and that we're interested in selling it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, what I was looking for today, I thought I was told that we're going to hear something about the operation and maintenance on the bridge and the screw up with plenary on this whole thing. Are we ever going to get them to, and somebody from here tell us who's responsible, who's going to do what, where, and how for this?
It wasn't put on the agenda that I know of, and
Could we put it on the agenda for next month to bring plenary here to talk about this bridge and the operation and cost? And particularly since plenary has sold all its American assets. They're not the people that's involved in this any longer. So who's on first?
thank you. Mr. The bridge isn't on the agenda, so
That's not what I'm going to talk about. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is what we just got through talking about, and this is Rob Forget, 116 New Street, Belle Chasse. The problem that I have and what I see here is another litter box issue, okay? We have Bo Black that wants to sell that property, has tried to bring it up so many times it's not even funny, and now the administration is doing their best to back this situation and sell this property. Why in the world can't we get this property leased, rented? That goes along with every other piece of property that we own in this parish. We should be doing our due diligence to rent these properties and make money for the people of this parish. Not go behind back doors and try to friggin' make excuses as to why we need to devalue a piece of property so that somebody's friend can buy it. That's what's going on.
Ms. Walcott, 11K.
11K, presentation by Sparklight's General Manager regarding upgrades to cable system, Councilmember Konovich.
Aren't you lucky to be here last?
It's like a fireworks.
All right. Are we on the screen? Okay. Councilmen, members of the board, thank you. I'm sorry that I delayed my presentation till at 8:15. I promise I only got 47 slides, so I'll make it quick. But seriously, I've came over. I'm the general manager for Sparklight. My name's Charles Oakes. I got with me my tech ops manager, John Follett. We, as you guys know, New Wave Communication was here for a long time. Cable One acquired that property, and we rebranded as Sparklight latter part of last year. So I just wanted to talk to you about kind of community investments, economic development opportunities that are happening, and some of the investments that we are making to make this a better place to live. Our commitment is to providing our communities the connectivity that enriches their world, right? So we are driven on a promise, which is connecting our customers and communities to what matters most. And our values kind of fall behind that, is doing right by those we serve, driving progress, and most importantly, lending a hand. Over the last 3 years, we have invested $51 million on the Gulf Coast. Now, that is totalitarian across Mississippi and Louisiana in Plaquemine Parish, but we're committed to this community. Recently, we have just completed an AMP upgrade here, and we'll talk about some of the things that will come out of it. But here are some of the plans that we have. We start out in definition of broadband by the FCC is 25 megabits down. We are currently, our lowest package is 100 megabits, but now you can see at the very bottom, at the end of this month, we are going to launch what we call our Gigabit Plan, our Connect Gig Ultra, which is 1,000 megabits to every potential customer in this particular parish that we can cover. So that will be rolled out at the end of this month. We're super excited about that. So what does that mean? So once again, 1,000 megabits per second, which is amazing fast. You can download an HD movie in less than a minute. Multiple users can get on without lagging. I know a lot of our customers nowadays are working from home. They're educating from home. So this will give them more than enough capability to do that. The next thing is, the evolution of the consumer. Consumers now are not tethered to a fixed computer. They have multiple devices, cell phones, laptops, iPads, Fire Sticks, all scattered throughout their house. One of the things that we launched recently was our Wi-Fi 1, which guarantees connectivity to any point in that fixed structure via Wi-Fi coverage. We have multiple business solutions ranging from a internet side all the way from 25 megabits. We actually go all the way up to 10 gigabit over fiber. So how do we differentiate ourselves from what New Wave was? And you can see on this map, Cable One, which is our parent company, is actually top 10 largest cable company in America. We stretch all the way from Washington. Actually, we just acquired property in Florida, and we scale all the way up. But each one of those points are connected via a fiber broadband connection, our backbone service that links those connections together. But the most important thing is it offers redundancy, right? It gives, if there is a break, it gives that traffic opportunity to reroute that is seamless to our end user. And it talks a little bit about here. I won't go into deep detail, but we operate on a hybrid fiber coaxial cable. We're currently, like I said, rolling out this gigabit package at the end of this month, but it doesn't stop there. The evolution of DOCSIS platform is what our cable modems ride on. We are rolling out our DOCSIS 3.1 platform soon that'll give us the scalability to go all the way up to a 10 gigabit connection to each and every home in this particular parish. And there's a new evolution that's coming out that's called DOCSIS 4.0 that'll give us much higher throughput, and we're actively exploring that. We've been actively involved in COVID relief. We participated in the Emergency Broadband Act that gave individuals that doesn't have the resources the capability of staying connected and operating in a fashion that is conducive to them working from home. We donated over $300,000 to Meals on Wheels to support food bank to those individuals that maybe don't have the nutrition to survive the way they did pre-COVID. And many other things. So we are, our sphere of service extends 24/7, right? 365. We have a tech support that's there, that's ready to take the call from the customer. We also offer same-day service, disaster recovery, in multiple other fashions. But here's where I'm most proud of. Is our engagement with the community. Building a better partnership, I think, is one of the pillars that Sparklight really thrives on. Just recently, we launched a $200,000 grant program for any one of the nonprofits that can exhibit that they are trying to make a difference in their communities. Here in Belle Chasse, I'm going to butcher this name, La Yaya. They have a STEAM project that's going on this summer that focuses on core things that really matter most to us: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. We just announced to them that they awarded a $3,000 grant, so we'll be presenting that check to them shortly. But our people really give back. They are actively looking for ways to make the communities that they live in a better place to live, work, and play. And I think just hearing the passion from this gentleman here and several others in this community, they want this community to thrive. And we want to be partners with you guys in that journey. So any questions that you guys have, I'm willing to take.
I got some.
Sure.
When you going to Venice?
That's a great question. So we historically we have never accepted any kind of government subsidy. We have operated in a very fiscal manner, a responsible manner. So we look at returns on investment. Our return on investment model is basically an 8-year buyback or payback. The challenge that we have here in Plaquemine Parish is all the environmental hurdles, right? So you have, if you look at denser populations like Belle Chasse, and then you have that span of road that goes down to Port Sulphur that you have to overcome. And then you can start building into, maybe more dense areas. The challenge we face, Mr. Chairman, is that middle mile, right? It's overcoming that span of area that doesn't have the density to support, a $25,000 per mile build-out cost. The Louisiana legislation is actually looking at what's called a Gumbo Act, which would give the capability of utilizing some state federal funds to make those middle mile work and make that feasibility work in our ROI model, and perhaps that's a possibility in the future. Great question.
And another one. I had my daddy staying up here at my girlfriend's house for a couple of weeks, so if I hear it, somebody else has got to hear it.
Yeah.
The cable went out, so I called the office. Can't talk to nobody. I asked, the lady finally came on and said, all I do is take your cables out. I said, I want to speak to a supervisor or somebody because I got relatives and friends that live up here that they keep telling me their fees go up and up, but the quality of the TV and the internet go down and down. So.
Well, we have, and I'm sorry to hear that, we have invested roughly about $250,000 invested in this community over the last year to make that reliability much better. So I'm hoping that the fruits of that labor will start manifesting itself shortly. I know John, I stole him from Anniston, Alabama. He's a superstar from over there. He's really working miracles to make this plant a better place, or the infrastructure better. When we got it, it was dilapidated. I'll be complete frank with you. But we've made those major investments, and you should be seeing better results as it relates to it. As far as engaging with one of our customer service reps, I would love to know when that happened. Like I said, we operate a 24/7 model. So if you're getting an answer machine, I don't know the answer to that because you should be going to a live agent.
I got your number now. And
there you go. You can call. That's my direct number. You can call me anytime.
Thank you, Mr. LaFrance.
When you come into Port Sulphur.
He just told you.
No, you asked him about Venice. I asked him about Port Sulphur. Any help from the Public Service Commissioner?
So the Public Service Commissioner, as well as the Louisiana Legislature, is actively working that gumbo bill. that would give the capability of getting down there. We do have services in Port Sulphur that actually help connect your municipality buildings together. The challenge is when that fiber was strung, there wasn't enough capacity to really grow beyond that point-to-point connection. And so, perhaps there's some opportunities there with a public-private partnership to make that happen down in Port Sulphur.
Thank you.
Ms. Newberry?
Yes. First of all, I want to thank y'all for giving back. It means a lot to the community and to the public. And I was going to ask you about state and federal, and you answered that question. Just keep pushing because do y'all have anything for low mod people that are struggling to get cable to their houses? Do y'all have any kind of grants for that? Or is that why y'all still trying to work with the state and federal for that also? Because, with COVID, a lot of kids struggled getting cable or couldn't afford it. And it was really a struggle to get that to the community and get those kids, because some of them were just driving to a coffee shop or a school. So did y'all do you have a plan?
Absolutely. So, wonderful question. When COVID kicked off, February, March, just depending on your timelines, we acted quickly. We started opening up free Wi-Fi spots, but we stopped disconnects. So if individuals lost their jobs and couldn't pay their bills, we stopped disconnects. I think for all the way from March to September. And as far as those individuals that could not, did not have the means to afford to start new service, we offered a $15 internet package that gave them unlimited bandwidth so they can do their work. And recently, we just partnered with the federal government at the FCC for the Emergency Broadband Act, which gives those low-income houses a $50 credit. So they subscribe to us, and the federal government kicks that money back in terms of their payment to us to keep their services active. So I hope that answers your question, but we actually have been looking at better ways of doing that.
Yeah, and also during hurricane season last year when we had some outages, y'all automatically deducted that from our bill. So I appreciate that. I don't know if y'all had a bunch of complaints or y'all just automatically did it, or being aware of that really meant a lot to some of the people. I had another question. I forgot what it was, but thank you very much. I'll think about it.
Absolutely.
Mr. Alborough?
Yes. When are you going to finish Belle Chasse? There's several neighborhoods, entire neighborhoods, that do not have cable as an option.
So it all comes down to density, and it all comes down to that ROI model. We have, like I said, over the last year, we have been struggling just to stay afloat over in Mississippi. And, because there's a surge of demand, right? People working from home, they need services for their kids to be educated. We have ran into resource issues as far as equipment, manpower. It sounds like you're having similar challenges. So we're coming back to a point where we can reevaluate those individual pocket opportunities. And we were just talking about that on the way over here. I mean, Belle Chasse is a wonderful place that, individuals have lived here all their life, but I think there's a great opportunity to reinvest and give these individuals maybe opportunities, economic opportunities that maybe they didn't have before. And if we can be part of that, and there is those pocket neighborhoods that maybe don't have those broadband services, I would love for you to reach out to me individually. You got my contact, and just tell me where those places are, and we'll definitely.
It's a 15-year-old neighborhood that originally, back when it was New Wave or whoever before that, said, well, we have to wait for more houses. Well, now it's almost full, surrounded by developments, so it's not a long run.
Right.
It should be a very simple fix.
Absolutely. Love to look at it.
Thank you.
Dr. Gouy?
Yeah, how you doing, Charlie?
Doing well.
I had an incident at my office. Vehicle took out my power and all my communications. And I dreaded the thought of having to get on a customer service and sit and wait. I called your number, less than a minute. I got a customer service rep. By 3 o'clock that afternoon, guy was there.
Yeah.
Next day, I still had an issue with power. I called back. The guy came right over. I had a flipped breaker. That's why my motor wouldn't go on. But he came, he checked everything, and I got to tell you, that's the type of service that if that continues, that's going to be a great asset to our community.
Listen, Doctor, I'll tell you, to me, our service is great, but our number one asset is our people. That's the number one asset probably of this parish is the people that work here for you. I strongly believe in investing in them to provide a better customer experience to all of our customers, to give them exactly what you experience. And I hope in the future that you, if something ever happens again, I pray it doesn't, but you would have a similar. So thank you for that success story.
Hope I don't have to call you again, but
You got my contact.
I know, I got your number now.
Mr. Blink?
Certainly. So, I mean, there's large segments of the parish that are, you said, beyond some sort of cost-benefit ratio that we might not be keen on. Starlink and other wireless internet is available. People might not necessarily want to go directly to them. I mean, is there some sort of opportunity for your company to try to manage those wireless connections here to provide people with some internet?
Are you speaking of the low orbit mesh satellite services of like Tesla's?
Yeah, so that and then other opportunities.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So we look at 5G, we look at the low orbit mesh satellite services of the Starlink, and Google's looking at it as well, maybe Microsoft. And we look at it from a new entrants coming into a marketplace, just like any other business should. Is it a threat? I think from a rural broadband perspective, it's a great way to move the needle as it relates to giving customers the services that maybe they didn't have before. But I think the need for a fixed broadband service, like what we're offering today and what we will be offering, expanded offering in the future, I think it's extremely important. I don't think those technologies mesh very well. But we are actively exploring some partnerships beyond that I can't speak of that maybe would help with a Port Sulphur or a Venice in the future. But those are just kind of infant talks right now. Great question.
Seems like there's some interest down that way. I mean, I pre-ordered the Starlink. I'm going to test it out of my rural home, see how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a lot of options. I'm plugging my phone into my computer at home. It's anxious.
My TV in Buras, I'm tired of going outside with the rabbit ears and holding some aluminum fall out.
Yeah.
Miss Newberry?
I have a quick question. So you implement some new fiber optic, a better service for the Plaquemines Parish? Is that what you're saying?
So we are constantly looking at new technologies. So you'll see, once again, we're launching the gigabit service.
Right. So I guess my question is, are y'all planning on going up on the fees?
It really all depends. So I will tell you to your face as it's recorded on the, I assume that's recording and not a live. Our video service, our typical cable service, there's very little meat on the bone. So when there is a price rate increase, honestly, it's basically a pass-through, right? We haven't taken a rate increase on our internet service in almost 5 years from a Cable One perspective. I'm not sure the new wave policies, but I don't have anything projected right now as it relates to that, so.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And if you guys have any questions beyond that, feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Very quickly, Mark. When that board I was here tonight, Louisiana Housing Corporation, we lobbied the legislative rural caucus group, which is being the legislature, very, very powerful. We passed through that any developments that we did in low-income housing or tax credit projects, that we would commit to do 30% of our funds available every year with rural caucus housing. We went to the legislature, we went to the Public Service Commission, and Eric Scametta comes down here regularly. He visits Plaquemine Parish. They were agreeable, and we put away monies for the, if you want to call it the cable access for entire small parishes. Somebody needs to lobby from the parish's standpoint and get our new legislators to lobby these groups for this money. There's money's available. There's money's available from HUD that we got to help develop all these properties. Any new development has to have cable access. You can require that, and you can get money to go down by you to finish just the fiber optics.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by everybody, second by everybody. Machines are open. It passes 6-0 and shut down at 8:35.